I would like to thank you all so much for being here and helping me enjoy Hump Day. This is officially Soup City Sins, Season 6, Premiere, Episode 1, Keep Away From Those. When we last left our coterie, they had come to the realizations of several things that had happened. One, that the overlooked, the forgotten, the unattended, and rampant dustborn of the city had, due to the ramifications of the Dalton disco fiasco, begun binding together. They had begun to form a gestalt being, an entity in a group known as the Children of the Dusk, under the leadership of some strange entity known as Julian, and under the guidance and tutelage of Sylvia Raines, formerly one of the second highest members of the Chantry, formerly the most singularly powerful Tremere in Chicago, if not the entirety of the Midwest, formerly the would-be assassin of Hestia directly, and usurper of the might and strength of the Shelter's Haven. In the midst of this, Alexander also learned that there are a group of will workers, people who are able to do the unbelievable and still feel the grace and touch of the sun on their skin. The Akashic Brotherhood, the Akashic monks, and what other epitaph they chose for themselves, who had sought to lay siege to his dear abbot's monastery directly, and the other members of his congregation and coalition generally. We'd also learned that the sewer rats, the Nosferatu of the city, were aware and are aware of many loosely kept secrets that abound, namely that such beings as the Children of the Dusk were in fact active and were in fact a force to be reckoned with of some note. So much so that they were themselves staying their hand, and so they had a better grasp of the situation. We also learned that Zeus, through their connections to the federal government, had access and usage of several unidentifiable alphabetical agencies, FBI, NSA, CIA, various other less than spoken of entities within the federal government. We'd also learned that deep in the heart of Chinatown were a group of supernatural entities that seemed to feast on kindred flesh, further giving proof and credence to Jackson's treaty of non-interference between them and the kindred at large. And most importantly, most directly for our shelter's supernatural teacher, their guidance, their sword and shield against the world beyond, the Chantry, through their machinations and backdoor dealings, have their own treaty of sorts in place, and had been using their time out of the limelight to delve, explore, experiment, and protect the rest of the city from those same entities. So we pick up with several plans afoot, several ideas tossed out. Alexander is called away due to some incident at his abbot's temple, and quickly takes to the night. As he leaves, and Damien is called and Alexa is called, what are the coteries' plans?
Well, I'm sure we're probably stowing the other Duskborn in drawers next to Sylvia because we're keeping them as proof. at least for right now, and not killing them. I'm trying to think, what else do we have to get done? Just basically coming up with the most succinct but inclusive way to tell Damien the things we just learned, and figure out what, like, the priority of what order to tell him things in, because you can't lead with the small thing, or should you lead with the small thing? It's basically figuring that whole situation.
I think we should probably lead with what he wanted to know in the first place, which is what Clyde found out about the 3 happiness. Everything else is, well, I wouldn't say icing on the cake, more like the battery acid on an already shitty display, but you get the idea.
Out of character, didn't we talk with somebody that was going to help us get into the Tree of Life? I remember being a vampire, but I don't remember who he or she was.
Well, the regent of Chinatown is Sun Che. She's a member of the Chantry. You all were going to distract her with the SMA and stage a meeting with the other Anarchs so that you all would kill 3 birds with 1.5 stones, as it were.
Yeah, but I think somebody else was helping us, or was helping us, or...
Yes, Damien agreed to meet with the Anarchs to broker an understanding, if not a peace, as backdrop and distraction.
Okay, so no, never mind me. I'm a bit lost, but carry on.
No, not a problem. Loss gets things found, whereas anger gets things done. And in much the same situation as that twisted parable and metaphor, you all hear the trumpeting and noise violation that is the sound of a slew of sirens closing. You hear the raucous presaging of urban thunder. A slew of multiple sirens converging on your area with all due haste and fury.
In that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, as current acting chair of the shelter, I'm going to go upstairs in the office, and I'm going to call in whoever we have on duty, which is probably only like the one person, unless we held any interviews for replacements. But yeah, I'm gonna tell them what's going on and have everybody stay inside as best we can and stay out of the cops' way. And I'm also going to pop by the clean room before we go anywhere. And since Damien's already, I guess, supposedly headed in this direction, just give him a heads up that the cops are going to be here and to not come in the front door. And then go upstairs and make sure that the shelter staff know what's going on outside and basically kind of lock down.
Okay. All right. Any other actions or suggestions to happen during this frenetic bit of activity from Hestia?
Am I aware of where Arsenio is at the moment?
Yes. Yes, you are. He is in the parking lot, actually. I'm
gonna send him a text saying, like, keep tabs on where these cops are going. I just want to make sure, like, whether or not they're coming to us or they're dealing with some other situation close to us.
Okay.
Did you forget that they're dealing with the car that ran into the building and tried to kill Dizzy and her friend?
Believe it or not, yes. But thank you for the reminder. All the same, I'll still send that message.
So, I just have this This doubt. Why don't we simply burn the freaking place down and then try to pick off whomever comes out of there?
The restaurant?
Or
the
our
restaurant, the devils that live in there, the people that are being eaten, the vampires that are already chopped into pieces, the werewolves, anything that has to do anything with that thing. Yeah, I'm so it's fire and holy water. Do you have more suggestions?
Well, I think the idea is that we're trying to find any leads that'll either find us Laura Blakeney or something of importance. If we just burn the whole place down, we kind of lose all of that. On top of the fact that it's an open declaration of war against whoever and whatever owns that place.
So eating vampires is not already a declaration of war? Just asking for a friend.
I mean, some of us eat each other. Is that really all that bad?
Last time I checked, if you eat another vampire, you get to see your last sunrise.
I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty friendly, I think.
Yeah, but didn't you, snack on a few Duskborn?
Me? When? No? Why?
Yeah, but it's like, you gotta look at that more like a sustainable resource.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, yeah, it's bad that they're doing this, and we should probably do something about it, but burning the whole place down is probably not the best choice.
Alright, have it your way.
There's a time and place for the scorched earth policy. This is not it.
What we're saying is it's not
When you
plan
see that-
A. We're not saying
When you
it's
see
not
that bitch small, you will know.
The very real fear that is gripping Clyde's heart, and very much the anger of having nearly been something else's snack, and not just the divestment of his vitae, but the divestment of his physical form, is a very hard thing to swallow, because kindred take blood. And in that process, of course, some lives are lost along the way, but the real fact of watching or knowing that other beings are snacking on the flesh of kindred is something that just doesn't sit right with Clyde. It just doesn't sit right with his understanding of the way that things should work. If something dies by accident in the course of hunting, or if someone has transgressed significantly enough where there should be a death, he's okay with. But the idea that there is some predatory entity that seeks and chooses to nosh on kindred flesh is an interesting situation. That gripping of anger and terror and fear and the very realities that he was seconds, if not less, away from meeting a very quick and painful death by consumption. Clyde, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your charisma and persuasion?
Sure. Oh. 1 second. Charisma, persuasion, alright. Persuasion 2, alright. 3 successes.
Okay. Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no shading or hiding that fact. In fact, it's so apparent that despite his relative calm in his push for fire, brimstone, holy water, the saints, the sinners, and everything else, it is 100% engaging. It's 100% reminiscent. It doesn't quite trigger PTSD of being someone's test subject. It doesn't quite trigger PTSD of watching as a platinum blonde monster appeared manifesting from the shadows around you. It doesn't quite 100% trigger those responses, but it is very close to those feelings you all had in those moments. The tremor in his voice, the fact that even though he's looking at you, it's clear that he's seeing his death and having to come to grips with it. And it's not something easily swallowed or easily assuaged. As calmly as he is trying to put it forth and as calmly as you all are understanding it, the truth of the matter is it is 100% that lizard brain fear of the dark that's coming through. It is that fear of one's impending doom and knowing that there is a predator that is bigger, stronger, faster, meaner, and more determined than you are, close enough to act. And as those thoughts are being expressed in his need to burn them completely out, and as the logical thought of the ramifications of that are thrown completely out of the window, Hestia, Damien, and Alexa enter into the space. Alexa smiles and all but vibrates with the idea of impending violence because of the call and the fact that she has not had the opportunity to really explore you all's haven. Damien's second time here tonight, third time here within the last month, and fourth time here within the last 5 weeks. This is becoming habitual. Alexa throws her arms around Diz, and so Damien told me the bad news. I'm sorry Simone is gone. Luke is not gonna like that.
I got you a present.
Ooh, I like presents. What do you got?
I'll slide one of the drawers open.
She paused and throws both hands over her mouth. Oh my goodness, this is... Oh, and she starts stroking the broken, topered, thin blood's hair. Oh, this is going to be fun. I've been looking for him for so long. How'd you find him?
He tried to hit me with a car.
Oh, that's his thing.
Really? Because he's not very good at it.
Oh, but normally he is. He's been really, really good. He clipped. Oh, you won't believe what this guy did. He clipped Urzuli as he was crossing the street from Retinal 5. Ads was losing his mind, made a show of it, almost dropped his whole, invisible, not there, not quite really visible thing. Oh, it was so good. But anyway, so you got him. Do you have his partner?
I do. Well, I have a partner. I don't know if it's the partner.
Do you have Barbara too? And no, it's a guy.
No, unless Barbara is a dude.
Oh no, no, we need to find Barbara. She is purportedly his partner in crime, one of the people to help him become who he is. Well, I'll find her. I have some clues. I even almost know where Julian lays his head. And by almost, I mean I don't have a clue. It's over there somewhere on the west side.
Quick question. Do I remember the names of any of the Duskworn that I encountered with Wineka?
Names? No, but you can describe them.
Hey, did any of them sound or look like this? And I described their appearances to her.
God. Oh my God, you've met Ian. He is not quite as good as the hitter here, but he is definitely highly rated. He's a sneak thief. He has robbed 4 of the houses in West Town. He's clearly looking for somebody. I haven't found what his day job is, but I know for a fact that he works somewhere in the city.
Is that the guy that I broke his arm?
That is.
Yeah, I think Wineka's got him staked right now.
No, not Wineka. He has no idea as to how to engage in an actual interview. He's all calm and scary and spooky, but he didn't actually apply enough pressure. He doesn't get enough information.
I mean, when I applied pressure, his arm broke off, so...
It's not physical pressure, though that helps sometimes.
I'm just saying, they're a little fragile.
That's the fun part. You can put them back together and start over. They're like Legos. That's what they are. They're kindred Legos. Yeah. although they're a knockoff brand, they're not the real Legos. They're like the Playmobil or whatever the other brand is.
Duplo.
Yes. Though Duplo is better, honestly, than even Legos. They don't hurt as much when you step on them. But anyway, Damon is being mostly quiet as he's letting Alexa do Alexa for a second. He's not as tired as you've seen him, nor as dead as you've seen him over the last few weeks, but it is clear that his conversations earlier this evening with other kindred after he left you all didn't go quite according to plan. All right, so Hesha tells me you guys got a lot to relay. What is it? Besides these guys.
Clyde, why don't you start?
I step away for a couple of minutes, so I don't know exactly what we are doing right now.
Damien, Alexa, Hestia, and you and the entirety of the coterie are present, and Damien's asked, so what is it, the information that you guys wanted to relay? Lucio volunteers you to go first.
So, basically, this crazy chick that's in the Tree of Life, she has like a bunch of vampires in a freezer. Apparently, they are eating them, and they have some sort of guardian dogs, werewolves, Chinese werewolves, or whatever. And they try to kill me, and they try to eat me, and they try to make sushi out of my delicates. So, also, apparently, she has some sort of understanding with Jackson. So, I don't know what that understanding is, but it doesn't smell nice to me.
No, it's not nice, it's not great, but unfortunately we do have a non-interference pact in place. We're not supposed to go into Chinatown. We're not supposed to hunt in Chinatown. We're not supposed to get caught anywhere in Chinatown because that would violate the treaty, unless of course we are escorted or have the release of the Tremere, which only comes from Sun Che.
Well, that's all fine and dandy, but they are making sushi out of vampires. So I don't know why this is so hard to understand. You know, chop them off, eat them, and then let them grow back or whatever they do. Does that roll with Jackson? Because I don't know, it really doesn't roll with me.
No.
Me either. There's a good chance that I might know some of those licks.
Yeah. The treaty was pushed by Erichto. And unfortunately, with everything that happened with old man Peterson before Jackson took over, we're not really in a position to say that's a bad idea. You know what happened with Peterson, why he initially said no to the treaty and then finally caved?
I am not aware.
Well, before Jackson took over, way back in the dark old days when the Primogen were the law of the land, not just because of social ability and guidance, they literally were the rulers of the city. After Loden died, Peterson took over and said fuck what Loden already set in place. He was different. He was a real prince. He could make things happen. And one of the things that he wanted to make happen was for Chicago to be fully Chicago, from one contiguous boundary and border to the other, including a few campaigns against the western and southern suburbs. One of the things that he did was attempt to put a kibosh on Loden's treaty with Chinatown, both north and south. He succeeded in the north and thought he could take actual Chinatown down as well. Everything was going pretty good, actually, as far as things were to be considered. Buildings were being bought, land was being renewed, construction contracts were being pushed in our direction. We were, as a group, as a community, we were winning. And then a few kindred started to disappear during the day. Then a few more. Then a few retainers and a few allies. And then people started to hear werewolves, the lupines, near their places of rest during the day. And I don't know about you all, but hearing a lupine in your daytime haven is not a feeling that any kindred would like to waken to be snapped back from death, to hear a lupine rummaging through your haven. Peterson finally agreed to the treaty and left it standing because 6 of his highly trained security force had their heads placed in a duffel bag and left on his kitchen counter while he rested in his secured basement. Whatever those people are, they are able to walk during the day. They have pacts and treaties with lupines that are able to act during the day. Kicking that hornet's nest is typically not worth it. Small forays and stealthy assignments all aside, the idea was for you to keep watch and not get involved with them at all. Hopefully, I thought that you might have been able to sneak beneath notice or get in and get out, because once you break the treaty and once you're caught, the nicest thing they can do is take a pound of flesh, and literally, that's usually what happens the first few times. 16 ounces of your dead flesh with a lesson and a message sent. Anything more than that, and if you get caught doing more than that, and there literally is no protection for you, the best thing you can do is stake yourself and pray.
Yeah, but my experience is kind of limited, but they don't normally eat us, though, do they? It's always my impression they kind of looked at us like an ice cream cone covered in pubes.
I can't answer whether they usually eat us or not. I didn't think that they were that way, but people who have transgressed, they've disappeared there.
They are eating something, at least that's what it looks like.
Sadly, we'd need to get Sun Che to escort us through so we can sit down and talk with them. If for nothing more than to apologize and keep them appeased. The last thing I want is for more kindred to go missing or to wake up with a lupine staring them down.
Could we just ask her real nice?
We can. Hestia, what do you think?
Well, I'd be all for making nice and asking her. I kind of made her angry a little earlier this evening. She tried to eat my face, and I didn't allow that to happen, so yeah. We're gonna have to see how that goes. She was a little upset that we canceled the SMA. I didn't cancel the SMA. Deuceable canceled the SMA. And felt that it was improper for us to be seen fighting with each other as a group. We were supposed to be presenting a united front, so I was given a choice either to go ahead with the SMA and potentially lose my standing at all in the Chantry House, which would make me a person non grata in the city of Chicago, or accept the offer of returning back to the Chantry House in good standing and take my rightful place there, the place that Deucible's been holding for me. Obviously, I chose to return, which kind of leaves us having to figure out what we're going to do tomorrow night about the whole Succubus Club thing, but that's a problem for tomorrow night. I can try. The Deucible will have tried to calm her down after I left, so hopefully we'll be even with each other and can bolster this new Chantry unity sort of situation and see where that goes.
Wait, you were on the outs with the Tremere? I thought you guys were all in a similar bag, like you and like Julius.
See, the thing is, my maker was in good standing with the Chantry House, but when they allowed her to be killed with no recourse, I kind of didn't trust him all that much, and up until recently, I have been wary of Crucible, but I see now that he actually isn't as bad as I thought, and I was never completely on the outs. Most of the Chantry doesn't like me, though, because I'm kind of the golden child, I guess. According to them, I don't know where that came from, but because I was Karen's, and Crucible was holding a spot for me, they took exception to it, and there was a little bit of bad blood, but for the most part, that's kind of squashed now, so we'll see.
You need to get in trouble, then they'll like you.
Wow. I thought the Brewhow were bad, Damien says. Alright, so we need to find a way to smooth over your relationship with your family, your close-knit kids and kin, so that we can get access to Chinatown and figure out at least a way to apologize so that they don't want more blood from us, and maybe get access to wherever they're keeping Blakeney before they either consume her, like Clyde says, or worse. So how does this tie to the Dustborn that tried to run you over?
I don't know, but we should ask them before Alexa does whatever Alexa does with them.
Alexa smiles. I don't do anything with them. It's what I do to them. You're not making things better.
Actually, I have the answer for that, too. The Dustborn that attempted to run over Dizzy were a backup plan of Sylvia's because they are hers. She has been raising a Dustborn army of sorts to attempt to usurp Crucible's power in the Chantry House and other places. She has been catering to them, making them feel welcome, while other kindred apparently make them feel not welcome and try to kill them. So it was easy pickings. And then they have been going out and making more of themselves. And then she's been teaching them blood magic, which is kind of circled back to that whole thing of bad. She's a bad person, did bad things, and should probably meet true death for that. But that's neither here nor there. So that's where the Dustborn come in. She has been creating a Dustborn army, and we know where they are because the guy said before we staked him again because he tried to kill Alexander. So then that's where that happens. It's all tied to Sylvia pretty much.
We also found out that Sylvia kidnapped and apparently is keeping at her haven Whispers.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, and please correct me. Please let me not see this the way that it actually be true. You're saying the Dustborn have swollen a number enough that they constitute an army here under all of our noses. This army is being led by a Tremere, and according to you, last time we spoke, just earlier this evening, Sylvia is number 2, if not number 1, in terms of strength for the Chantry, while another Tremere is our gateway and key into finding out what happened to Lord Blakeney in the midst of whatever those beings are that inhabit Chinatown.
Not only are you right, but they have a name for themselves. They call themselves Children of Dusk, and they have a logo, and I show him the hourglass-shaped logo on the one Duskborn.
Oh, fucking hell. That's up almost everywhere. I thought it was a new graffiti crew, a new tag crew. But
Nope. Some of them were spying on me when I was trying to meet with Wineka earlier today. Hence why I broke one of their arms off.
Where do you
I have
get
some of their phones, by the way, if you felt you wanted to look through that, if there's any valuable information on them.
Yeah, we can get this to G and have her go over it.
Excellent. And while we're on the subject of Wineka, he's the one who told me about Whispers being caught by Sylvia. And, well, I'll just get to the point. He wants to become a hound.
Why?
I'm not sure. He just said he wanted me to put in a good word with you about becoming a hound. I'm assuming it's because he wants to make all of his zealotry official rather than just vigilante.
I touched the tip of my nose, like ding, ding, ding. That's kind of the case. Originally, when we had the issue with him before, he wanted the power that we quote unquote had because he felt like things were not moving fast enough and that we weren't doing our job enough for his liking, and that if the hounds had somebody like him, then things would get done. Probably violently and zealotry filled, but that they would get done.
Well, we definitely could use the firepower, that's for sure. And as good as she is, we could definitely use the information, the intel. I don't really see a reason not to have a physical version of G out in the field to provide us information. Do you all have a reason why he shouldn't?
I mean, he kind of hates us, but this is supposed to help smooth that over.
Yeah, well, not many people like you guys anyway, based on what Hesher just said about her own blood.
He's kind of a loose cannon.
Everyone likes me.
Yeah. My entire clan wants me dead. I was never supposed to exist. So yeah, I guess you could say that.
Out of character, what time of the night it is?
You guys have roughly 2.5, 3 hours until sunrise.
Okay. And have we interacted with the Anarchs at all?
No, you have not tonight. The calls were made, but that was earlier in the evening, before you even set out to the Three Happiness in Chinatown, before Lucio's meeting with Juanica, and before Hestia's sit down with the 7 highest ranking members of the Chantry. Well, 7 highest ranking now, with Sylvia being missing.
Okay, when Damien says something about firepower, I'm gonna just speak under my breath, like, I'm gonna give you some firepower, motherfucker.
He looks dead at Clyde. Do you actually have a problem? This is the second time you've been even passingly violent towards the idea of me. I know your family is your family, but what's going on? What do you have that's in your craw?
You don't talk with cannibals. Cannibals don't talk with you. It's like a cow coming to me and saying, please don't eat me. What am I gonna do? Go vegan? That's not how the world works. You are just turning a blind eye.
I mean, technically, they're not cannibals. They're eating us, and they're not us. It's like us eating people, and we're not people anymore.
Do you chop the people that you feed upon? Because they do. I mean, that's a clear difference. And if you are coming to me with semantics about this, just like make a frown.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like being at the top of the food chain. I don't want something above me. But at the same time, technically, they're not cannibals.
Okay.
So you think he could do better?
You said you didn't know exactly what they are, but we know exactly what they are.
What are they?
There's legends in Asia of beings that are like vampires, but are possessed by things that were never human. Demons, higher malintended beings. They basically are things that died, beings that died having done such wrong in their life that they need to atone for that, and that atonement is being possessed by a creature from beyond veil that is very destructive and very violent, mind you, and trying their best to fix their lives as these beings, but oftentimes they don't give a flying fuck and tend to just lean into the destruction, because once they're possessed and undead, it's very hard to kill them again. Some can be killed by metal, some can be killed by wood. You never know which one it is. Sun is not particularly effective like it is with us, but fire seems to work, I would assume. So yeah, that's what they
fire. Fire. I point.
How do shadows work?
All right, so look, we have 3 clear-cut, very bad things happening. 2 of which could be solved by dealing at least temporarily with the Chantry, which is those cannibals that you're complaining about that we don't talk to, that we shouldn't make deals with. We're not making a deal with. We're apologizing for getting caught. Once we apologize and things go back to their status quo, if we can find a way to balance the scales in your favor, our favor, for them, whatever happened, clearly, and he points to Clyde's clothing, and we can get away with it without kicking off World War III, where kindred are waking up dead during the daylight hours, fine. But if you think you could do better and get away with it, then handle it now. Take care of it. You're a member of the shelter. You guys are the wunderkid of all wunderkind when it comes to us. You all have survived, and quiet as kept, word is spreading that you guys kick ass and take names, including when dealing with lupines. So use that to your benefit if you can. If you can go ahead, take care of the 3 happiness and deal with that and get Blakeney back, or at least find out where she is, even including if it's in someone else's stomach, do it.
Hey, do you think we could get him to eat all these Duskborn?
Unfortunately, the Duskborn are smart enough to stay away from Chinatown, Alexa says. I tried chasing a few in there. They've just given up.
I mean, maybe the Chinatown people could, I don't know, go on vacation.
Or we could just start throwing them in there forcefully.
I like that idea. There's a red line stop. They go us right past there. We can throw them off the train.
Maybe we just haven't used the right bait.
Don't encourage her. We're not throwing Dustborn off the train. We already talked about this, Alexa. No. But it would be fun. It'd be a new game. We could, aim at things. Like windows, balconies, third rails.
The open maws of one of those cannibals.
Yes, that would be triple, double points. God, stop encouraging her. We don't, if it works, fine, whatever. But we have to find out what happened to Blakeney, first and foremost, to get the wolf pack off of our tail. Plus, it'll give us a chance to put Shing in his place more properly without me having to kill him. I really don't want to kill any of us. I would prefer not to. But if the wolf pack take over as full-on active archons in the city and remove us from our positions as sheriff and hounds, I will have to kill Shing. The authority will go to his head. He will not be manageable. So, hypotheses, plans. What are we going to do tomorrow? We have the meeting with the Anarchs. or at least a few of the Anarchs, to try to arrange a distraction for something we don't need now.
The way I see it, we have two approaches. Number one, we try and go in stealthy again. From what Clyde told me, that is possible as long as we have Blue covering us. I'm not sure how he's able to do that, but it seemed to work.
Who's
so
Blue?
That is... do you remember the ghost I was talking about?
You mean the one that is here and watching over your haven?
No, that's a different entity altogether. So, long story short, when we escaped from the morgue with you, we got lost, and apparently we were being chased by spirit monsters. I don't know how to describe it, but I made a deal with Blue to get us out of there ASAP. And in exchange, he is basically haunting me for the rest of my eternal existence.
Minus 5 years.
Don't be like that. It's not really a haunting. It's kind of like we roommates in your existence.
Sausage demons.
He's also been trying to make a few other deals, including getting a house of his own in exchange for some more information.
It clearly says in the Declaration, Constitution, the founding document of this country, that a man is not a man if he doesn't own property. And a ghost is not a ghost without property. I can't be a man, so I can't be a ghost. I need a place. Hestia, do you have your sense see the unseen in place? Are you currently staring into the void?
I tend to lately. It's better to have it up than not more often lately. So yeah, it's up.
Okay, so Lucio, Hestia, roll wits and awareness for me, please. And while that's happening, plans. Dizzy, you seem that you and Alexa have an understanding. What's your idea so there's not the craziest version? Hey, I'm not crazy. No, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying you typically put forth the most craziest options.
What, my idea? I'm just saying, we got problems with the spot, we got problems with this Dustborn gang, and we got problems with Chinese werewolves who eat us. Maybe we could throw some of those things at each other, and then just clean up what's left. I don't think Chinese werewolves are checking Camarilla membership cards or anything. A vampire's a vampire to them, right?
Yes. They're pretty much they see us all the same.
Am I using aspects too, or just...
Yeah.
You know why I joined the Camarilla? Because it seemed like a logical idea. People find out that they are being eaten, they get together, and then they try to burn the shit out of whatever whatever that it's eating them. So it seems logical to me that if you find out that somebody's eating your people, you get the pitchforks, you get the torches, and then you storm the freaking castle. Otherwise, what's even the point of being in the Camarilla?
I mean, full disclosure, this is new to me, but with my dealings that I've ever had with the tower, it seems like they are perfectly willing to hide in the tower while whatever is eating them eats everyone else outside it first.
Well, we can use those peasants, and we can give them some torches, and then just point them in the right direction.
I'm just saying that even if one person dies out of this who is against us, that's one less person who's against us, right?
Can't say that that's a excessively wrong idea.
My problem with that is if we aim the Duskborn at the Chinatown situation, they are not going to stop at, oh, hey, we killed the wrong vampires. as Damien already said, they already see us all as one. So if we send the Dustborn against them, they're going to be like, okay, we killed those, but now it's open war on the rest of everybody. So that's probably not the best course of action with that whole situation. If we're going to do the Dustborn, aim them at somebody else.
Well, no, I wasn't suggesting aiming the Dustborn at anybody. I was suggesting aiming the vampire eaters at the other vampires who are giving us problems.
Okay. So we need the Chantry so that we can talk with Sunshade to get an audience with whoever is their equivalent to Prince, Baron, or they use Emperor or something, and hire them for an all-you-can-eat buffet, provided they attack people with this symbol that associate with these groups of people. In other words, Alexa, if we can pull this off, you'll have help, all the help you need to remove the Dustborn from the city, to remove the Thin Bloods from the way. Of course, I'm not sure if we really want them to have more access to the city openly. And as Damien's talking, being as no one's really breathing because no one put on blush of life this evening, there's not any breath, any exhalation. However, Hestia, Lucio, you realize that Forcipulus is not only in the room, having recently returned to the Haven, but pouting as he watches Blue walk back and forth between Lucio and Clyde. His hands in his pocket, his swagger, his lock, bop and roll to his walk, and Forcipulus is pouting like a very hungry predator watching something is not sure it can eat.
No, not this one.
Damien asks, what? You don't like the plan? You don't like the idea?
Oh, sorry. You remember the big one that we were talking about? He's here. Yeah, he's here. And he's, Blue, I don't mean to alarm you, but Forcipulus might think you're his dinner.
Hey, easy with that. I don't mind being, swallowed, but I ain't nobody's meal. The hell? That's the only response from Forcipulus. Yeah, I kind of heard that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you all enjoy yourselves for a second. I'm going to take a stroll outside. I'll be right back.
That's probably a good idea. You know what? Forcipulus, while you're here, do you have anything to offer to this?
Yes. I thought we had a deal. I thought we had an understanding. And now you willingly transgress on it.
How so?
Dead humans aren't part of your group. Or at least they hadn't been. So now I need to ask your permission to feed on the deceased. And he looks pointedly at Hestia when he says this.
Deals made with that particular spirit were made between Lucio and Clyde. No deals were made with me. The deal you made was with me. They are separate things. Now, if you made a deal with this one,
funny you mentioned that. Would you like me to follow the letter of our deal?
I already know what you're getting at, and do not. We already have enough things going on rather than you stirring trouble. You're getting at the fact that we have other kindred here that are currently staked and helpless that I haven't claimed are guests, so that they should, quote unquote, be fair game to you. Correct? That's what you're hinting at?
He smiles, and it's not the worst thing that you've ever seen, but the fact that as he smiles, he floats gently and very lightly down between Damien and Alexa.
I see what you're getting at. But how many times have you been here and I have invited these two into the Haven? Would I invite somebody that is not a guest?
Damien and Alexa are watching Hestia talk to nothing. Clyde, do you have Sense the Unseen, or do you have it up?
Yes, I have Sense the Unseen. I rolled, but I only got one because I was rolling in a different post. Only got one success.
Okay. Well, Forcipulos is not the smallest of things, and so he's easy to recognize as something as other. He has 8 legs. He is very spider-like, a combination of man and spider, but in truth he's not really a spider. He's a living, twisted embodiment of a giant centipede squished down into a near bipedal form. His face is a maw of chitinous barbs with a facsimile of the 2 eyes, though in each eye is a multiplicity of eyes over and over. Seeing his truer form is even worse, but just as an example as to what you see, he's almost the complete antithesis to Blue and the other spirits you've seen. It's clear that Forcipulos was never at any point a living entity. And as Hestia and Lucio are speaking with the invisible stuff that exists in the Haven, the reality is it's clear that Damien wants this done as quickly as possible with as few casualties as possible, and getting the one Kuei of Chinatown pointed at anyone and everyone but the kindred of the city seems to be the most appealing opportunity for him. There's less bloodshed. It's turning 2 things against each other. Is there anything you can offer that might make it even more appealing?
Off the top of my head, I got nothing. There's the whole Theus thing, but I don't know if I want to bring that all in right now.
All right, so instead of muddying the water, you let the very sweet idea of using one thing against another and letting them burn themselves out to get the win sit. And while that's sitting, yes, the idea is, the word is, people that are part of your group, part of your little family, and those that you serve are off the menu. So, I ask, whom of these almost living entities are actually guests?
So just as you said, people who we serve are off the menu as well. We're the hounds of the city, and that means we serve the sheriff, who you are standing right next to. By definition, he is off limits, as is the Scourge, who is also right next to you.
Yes, but you have 1, 2, 3 that you clearly, unless of course this is some twisted initiation, are clearly not guests. Clearly not someone you serve or serve under. Are you saying that they are completely off limits?
You said 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many Duskmourn do we have captured?
2.
He's talking about Sylvia. and we don't want that. We do not want to give him Sylvia.
This one, and I point to Sylvia, is off limits. This one, and I point to, I forget the name of the important Duskborn.
The hitter, okay.
The hitter is temporarily off limits until we get some information from him. This last one, frankly, I don't care. Go ahead. In fact, and I point to the symbol, the hourglass symbol. Let's just make it a blanket statement. If you see anyone else with this symbol on them, feel free to go after them and sate your hunger for life, as you once put it to me.
Does that help you?
It might, indirectly.
Excellent. And he fades. He ceases to be exactly where you all are, and without realizing, you know it is such because the room has grown a hair warmer. And for it to grow a hair warmer, if you were human, you know that hair is exceedingly warmer than when he was present, and definitively more than when he and Blue are present all at once. So having brokered a newish deal, a wrinkle with Forcipulas, and tested the limits of Blue's ability to leave your presence, with the one Kuei resting over your head, with the Duskborn resting over your head, with the Anarch meeting still needing to happen because, well, you don't want to be a flake. What is the coteries' plans? Definitively, because Damien needs to organize as much as possible to get things moving.
I think we have a lot of other problems to deal with before we start wars with vampires that aren't actually vampires, or whatever these other creatures are, Kuei as you call them. I vote for the peaceful approach or the quote-unquote peaceful approach that Damien suggested. All in favor?
I can definitely try talking to Sunshine. Maybe if we offer her something other than a fight to the death with me, we can come up to some sort of peaceful resolution where she would escort us to Chinatown and be present during a meeting with the Three Happiness crew and smooth it over for later, crossing of lines, I guess you could say. Use that again as a way to flog our true intentions and keep them guessing as to what we do. Maybe even, like we were saying, point them in Duskborn direction slightly. Somehow, well, we have to figure out exactly how to do it, because we'd have to be very careful as to how we do it. Maybe you can bring up them building an army to quote-unquote attempt to take over Chinatown from them because they're expanding, and that might put them on guard or make them want to proactively attack, and make it very clear that these Duskborn are not part of the tower, are not part of the deal that we originally made with them, which is why we are warning them about this potential danger to them out of kindness and peace.
Hey, let me pose a question to everyone here, if I might.
Yeah.
Let's say these Chinese werewolves, had Alexander or Simone in their basement. Would you maybe feel a little differently about this?
Well, the thing with that is I know who caused Simone to be taken from me.
That's not the point. The point is, if they had Simone, would you feel differently about this? Because what we've got is a premonition that ties me to these people and all of my friends that I've known for over a decade, longer than any of you fuckers have known each other, maybe being in this basement. And you're like, well, let's tiptoe around it. Let's not give a fuck.
We're not saying we don't give a fuck. We want to get the people in the basement back, but we can't go in guns blazing.
Which I never suggested. But now we're like, well, let's just not do anything. Let's make stuff up. Let's put it off another time.
None of us are saying to ignore the problem. The whole point of these negotiations are so that we can go in there without getting our faces torn off.
That's what I'm saying. We use this opportunity as a way to smokescreen for what we're really doing, which is trying to get our people back and trying to understand what's going on in the basement. You can't go in there saying, oh, hey, so let me check out your basement while I'm here. What we're going to do is give them somewhere else to look and focus while we do what we need to do to get people back. We're not saying we're not doing anything, we don't care. We do. We want to have that solved. But again, like Damien has said, and like Lucio has said, we can't just go in there and be like flipping tables, like, fuck you guys, we're gonna go look in your basement and give us back our fucking people.
And I never suggested that. When I have posed any sort of thing with this, you guys have all been resistant. All this entire conversation. Let's not do that. Let's not turn them against the other enemies. Let's just leave them alone.
Is that not what we have agreed to do?
You haven't agreed to do anything, and then you keep looking to soften it. Let's take a little bit more away, and let's take a little bit more away. Let's make it like the lodestone and everything else and just not do it at all.
Damien pauses. Wait, the lodestone?
We still never got the chance to retrieve it.
You also never got a chance to, outside of everything, you never actually got a chance to explain to him that it was there. The skeleton key. It was a powerful artifact. You never said what it was. Being quick on the uptake, Damien kind of puts 1 and 1 together to get 11. So the powerful artifact that you said cuts through everything is this lodestone. It's not a key.
I mean, it's kind of a key.
Give me a second. Do you have a room where I can make a phone call?
We have a clean room.
Show me the way, please.
Gladly. And I'll show him.
Alexa raises her hand the moment Damien and Lucio leaves. Do I get a chance to put my 2 cents in?
You may as well.
The Dustborn, the Thin Bloods, the waste of immortality that they are good for several things. One of the many things that I use them for, besides target practice, is to go get me things. I'll toy with them a little bit. I'll say, if you can find out who runs this area, I will not hunt you right away. And I don't have to hunt them because they're going to come right back to me. But you don't have to chase them at all. So I've kept my word. They did the dirty work. No one's any the wiser because, well, perfectly honest, everyone ignores them because they're a waste of immortality. So, being as these creatures in Chinatown, these vampires without being vampires are taking over the place and running things, we can't go kicking up the hornet's nest. Hire the Dustborn to go break out your friends if they're there, and to break out Blakeney if she's there. And then when they come back for their reward, kill them all, slowly, painfully. Make them wish they had never been created or born. But everybody's happy. And if they get caught,
I mean, I'm all for that, but what sort of leverage do we have against them in groups? I mean, I can see a couple of them, the fear of you're going to kill them is enough, but let's say a dozen of them together.
Tell them you can make sure I don't hunt them. That's always worked for me. If I don't hunt them, then they don't die. But of course, they fail to realize is if they come back to me, I don't have to hunt them. I don't have to go looking. If I don't have to go looking, I've kept my word.
I'm just saying what old Shattered Arms here related to us before he spit poison on the floor was that that they have pretty much amassed a small army at this point.
Nice. So burn them out. Destroy their army. Break them. You already know who some of them are, right? You know what I do? I use the poison rat trick. You know what the poison rat trick is, right, Hestia?
Yeah, you send one back with something that seems like food, but it's actually poison, and it spreads amongst the colony of rats, killing them all from the inside.
Yep. And then you just follow the scent of dead rats, and you take the ones that are almost alive completely out. You end the whole colony. Of course, they don't hang out together in usually large enough numbers for it to be really, really effective. You only get like 6 or 7. But if they're all together like that, even killing 6 or 7 in groups of 6 or 7, well, no more army. That's my idea. But Damien doesn't like listen to my idea because he says it's too much bloodshed. He's going to get into the news. It's not going to be something we can explain through gang warfare because gangs don't do drive-by stabbings. Yeah.
He has a point. They don't normally do drive-by stabbings.
But do we know, really? I've never been part of a gang. Yeah, I'm not even, a Chicagoan, really. But come on. Gangs do stupid stuff all the time. And it'll be so fun. Think about it. We can have contests. We can, score points based on height, based on weight, shorter being more point, wider being less points. So if they're tall and wide, less points than someone who's short and skinny because they're harder to hit. And we have to have a rule as to how slow you can be going. You can't do any of that creeping, crawling 15 miles an hour bullshit. You have to be going like 35, 45 miles an hour. And you got to whip it as hard as you can and take them out in one toss. If it takes 2, well, it takes 2, but one toss. Just to keep it fair for maximum points.
Alexa, if I go back out on the road, you're coming with me.
It'd be fun. It'd be great. And while Alexa and the ladies are having a conversation, Damien steps away with Lucio to the clean room. He's actually focused on his phone and pulls it out the moment that he steps through inside the clean room. It's just going to take a minute, okay, Lucio?
All right.
What's the deal with you all? What aren't you all doing? I had the same problem with Alexa until I gave her position where she was able to hunt down the Thin Bloods that she considers the real problem with the city. What is it that you all aren't doing? You guys are failing each other somehow.
This might be very confusing to explain because so much has happened, but before all this stuff about the Hounds, Chinatown, and all that, we had a few other problems that we've had to deal with. The 2 big ones that stick in my mind are the Sabbat, or the 3 big ones are the Sabbat, the Putanesca, and Simone's deal with the Shadow Kings.
Yeah, there's no real way to deal with the Shadow Kings. Every time I get close, things get worse.
So, moving back a bit, Simone did something to piss them off, and in exchange he had to kill a certain kindred who was responsible for disappearances. We missed the deadline. That led to a whole bunch of police arrests at our haven, leading to all kinds of trouble. We are still trying to figure out how to deal with that. The issue with the Putanesca has also been ongoing. They've been trying to take over our haven repeatedly. Our last meeting with the people who might be able to stop that went south because the Sabbat ambushed us, and that was the day Simone was killed. And then there's the whole Sabbat situation with regarding the lodestone. I don't remember if we told you this, but
a skeleton key that's not really a skeleton key. That's actually called the lodestone, which is one of the, according to a former friend of mine, one of the 7 great artifacts of a Sabbat incursion.
Dizzy's group was hired to transport it when they were on the road, so to speak, before she became stuck in the city, before she was captured by Newberry, before we had to break her out. And it's basic. I don't even know how to really describe it. I don't know what it's really called. But when we were all in a memoriam, and we all got to see her entire coterie's last moments. And this thing, whatever it is, it took us somewhere that I can only describe as not of this world. Essentially a place where dead things and dead places go to die. And I think that a big part of the failure is the fact that you've referred to, the fact that we keep failing each other, is the fact that there is so much going on, that we each have so much to deal with. As much as we try to help each other, we end up failing ourselves as well if we try to help others. I've told Dizzy once that I would try and find her coterie, but in that time, we've had the incident with Laura Blakeney, we've had the Duskborn attacking us. It's been crazy. And there's also been a lack of communication. Oh my god, I feel like I'm just rambling at this time.
No. A long time ago, I used to know this member of the Chantry. Is a guy named Garwood Marshall. He was Dusable's child. Dusable made him. He and I used to play in my band. He was good. He was a good guy. He was all about unity and being together and playing together and enjoying what life we had, because it wasn't promised. The idea of immortality was what it is. However, Gar always believed that no matter what came, as long as it came at us while we were together, we could find a way. We could make it palatable. Neon died. Gar died during the lupines, but some of the things that he talked about stayed with me. He always believed that we were basically the only thing that really mattered was us being together as a family, us being together as a band, which he considered a family as part of the whole music of life. He had this whole weird philosophy that only together could we make anything worth enjoying. That put him at odds with Kathy. Kathy was all about individual virtuosity. You brought the entirety of everything that was you to wherever you were, and it made it palatable. You became the best version of you at any and all costs. So you can imagine how those two theories and ideas competed and fought nonstop. But we were a better band for it. We were better kindred for it. We were better people for it. Before all of this mess, me being the sheriff, Nero coming back and being even more connected with what's going on with the whole degenerate Roses thing, the Toreadors, it's a mess. I'm rambling, but I'm rambling for a purpose. Small things are what got Kathy and Gar on the same page. Together, individually, they can both exist at the same time, as long as even in those moments where the idea seemed the farthest away, you don't hold it against the other person. You hold their idea of what's needed, and you act on it as best as you're able to. You explain, I don't get this, I don't understand this, I'm not doing this, but you do it up front. So if there needs to be action, make action. If there needs to be a step, make a step, but do it in your way and explain it along the way. I understand where we're trying to get to. This is the speed that I'm moving at. If it's not fast enough, then just know that I'm going to catch up. Would be my suggestion. But you all do what you feel you have to. You guys have been successful thus far. As much chaos as you've been through. But just because you've been successful, just because you survived it, doesn't mean you can't be better. Pick a target and accomplish it. The one thing we have is the rest of our lives, which is the rest of forever if we actually work at it. Now, give me a second. I gotta make this call. I do need a small bit of privacy for it.
Yeah, go ahead. I've got a lot to think about.
So he steps into the room and he gets on his phone. He immediately launches into, look, I know what you said about it being one of the 7 signs. I know. But here's what it is. It's a stone. It's not a key. Yeah, a stone. Like Gar used to say, it was one of the 7 signs. It's one of the things that were in Chicago back in the early 90s when the War of the Blood Red Moon happened. Yeah, it's in the Chicago area again. Yeah, I know. And yeah. Okay. No, I don't want to. We gotta get it out of here somehow. We gotta get it away from. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll find some way. I'll find someone. Hell, it can't be worse than whatever's in the lake. Yeah. All right. And then he comes back. All right, let's get back to the others. We need to have a way forward, whatever that is.
Agreed. Pick a target and aim our sights at it.
So a few minutes later, as Alexa has outlined her detailed plan of how to turn drive-by stabbings into an actual thing, Lucio and Damien are back in the room. All right, so I didn't know the lodestone was actually not a key. That's a whole nother thing we need to work on. But you guys have a lot on your plates. I have a lot on my plate. What do you all want to do? What do you all want to accomplish? Let's get a clear-cut goal so we were all working towards the same place.
She's kind of in the corner rubbing her temples because she's been listening to Alexa and Dizzy converse, but she's thinking about the whole thing of what just happened and the whole blow up and what was said, and she just kind of turns around. She's like, look, everybody's right and everybody's wrong at the same time. We need a way to do this so that there's the least amount of blowback on us, but we do need to get things that have been lingering too long done. So, Dizzy, what do you think we should do?
I mean, I thought I said what we should do. I thought I gave my opinion on it.
Yeah, you want to point the Chinese monsters that are down in Chinatown at other vampires, the technical other vampires, the Dustborn, how did you say it, Lucio? The children of the dirt.
Children of the Dusk.
That's a stupid name. COD, cash on demand, cash on delivery, Call of Duty. Yeah, the Call of Duty kindred. I like that idea, Call of Duty kindred.
Okay, so we're in agreement that we do need to do something, but to do that something, we need a distraction. We need to point two of the enemies at each other so that we have a clear path to what we need to get done, right? Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so to get that done, what might need to happen is what Alexa's kind of saying is, because I was paying attention to that, give the Ducksborn a task that they want to complete, and in doing so, piss off the Chinatown vampires into attacking them, thereby causing problems between Duskborn and the vampires, and use that as a cover to seem like we're making peace with them so that they don't look in our direction while we stab them in the back and do what we need to do, i.e., get into the basement and see if they have our people. Right? Am I right so far?
Yeah. But Damien starts, but how are we going to get the Dustborn to do what we want? Alexa threatens a few of them at a time. She kills more of them, so her word carries a little weight. But if they have an army, only their leaders are really going to motivate them to do anything effectively.
Well, we have one of those leaders. Is there any way we can use that to our advantage?
Two of those leaders, Sylvia and the other guy.
Can't somebody just mind fuck one of them?
Clyde?
I've been saying that since yesterday. Just point the fuckers and give them some torches.
So there's your poison rat.
Okay, so who's the more important to them? Their hitman, or one of their hitmen, or their teacher of the dark arts?
I don't think we can let her go.
We can't. I cannot let her loose because
She's too dangerous.
she's too dangerous. She's already broken so many laws, and she almost killed me if Clyde hadn't come in time.
Well, it's a good thing that we're all here.
If Alexa is willing to wait a little while on her gift, I say we send old Hitter here. I'm not much of a fighter, and I beat the shit out of that guy, so...
Yeah, but who are they more likely to listen to? Their hitman who says, let's go poke this ancient power that not even full-blooded kindred screw with? Or their teacher of the dark arts? Who's going to have the most sway with them as a whole?
Well, from the sound of things, from when we interrogated the one guy, Sylvia's the one who really calls all the shots. Does that sound right, everyone?
I mean, it sounds right, but she's going to be harder to sway to our side.
Harder doesn't mean impossible. We have strength of arms. She's going to be starving and ravenous. There are ways to add heft to any mental shenanigans.
If I can think of a way, I think there should be a way to make him think that the orders are coming from Sylvia directly. Like, to tell the rest that Sylvia is hiding because of the things she's done. The tower is onto her, the chantry is onto her, one of the two, because it's technically true. I have told them what she's done, so now she should be hunted. So, yeah, that would be a reason for her to hide and not be seen by them, but to carry on her mission.
Hey, it's you guys' decision. I have to square a few other things away. So when you all have your path in front of you and you've secured at least this portion of the things, let me know and we'll communicate via text and call tomorrow evening because I still have to meet with Evelyn, to say the least.
Are you going to fly solo on that, or do I need to come along since I brokered it?
No, it's probably better if you do not come along. Keep your good name intact. Alexa, say goodnight. Good night, Alexa. Good night, everybody else. I'll see you guys around. Let me know if you want to go hunting for these stupid Dustborn and when I can have my gift back. I've got plans. And they exeunt from the scene. They leave. They exit stage left even. There are several things that you all need to decide on a clear-cut path. Whatever that path is, whether you're going to play the game on casual, normal, or you're going to play it on insane difficulty. The steps ahead of you all is firmly in your lap. You have the next basically at this point, hour of the evening to decide what you are going to do. And remember that each step has its own. The more steps, the more time. The more time, the less chances you'll have accurate information.
All right.
Well, Clyde is gonna try to buy some gasoline.
Oh, that's easy enough.
some glass bottles, and maybe some old clothing.
Old clothing, yeah, that's it.
Whatever fabric that can be used as a primer.
Well, that's easy enough.
Dizzy,
So, Clyde,
Hestia. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
no, that was it. So Clyde exits, dresses for leaving the haven, and while he leaves the morgue, you, Lucio, Hestia, and Dizzy are left.
Diz, Hestia, you're better at figuring this stuff out than I am, I think. What do you think we should do? Who do we send with the message to go into Chinatown?
I think she's too much of a danger to let free. That's going to just exasperate our problems tenfold if we let her out. It may solve the immediate problem, but it's not worth the expense.
Obviously, I'm agreed with that. She is too dangerous on her own to let free. I think we can still do the poison rat plan using him, because obviously he was able to call some shots, but make it very clear that the orders are coming down from Sylvia, to put some emphasis behind it. If we can do that.
We don't need to call in the whole army. We just need him to bring a significant number of people to get their attention.
Exactly.
Though to be fair, bringing down the whole army might solve the problem as well.
Do we know what Clyde went to do? Did he say, or did he just walk out?
He just walked out.
I'm not a fan of that, because every time he does that, things happen.
So, to the topic at hand, this guy, the Duskborn, whose name keeps escaping me.
The hitter?
The hitter, because that's what we're all calling him now. Yeah, a hitter is not a leader. He takes orders, and the orders come from Sylvia. She's absolutely the leader of this army. I mean, he practically said as much. They're not gonna listen to someone like him. They're gonna listen to Sylvia.
I guess, but it just feels like trying to shove the genie back in the bottle if we let her go.
Does this have to happen tomorrow?
I mean, it's been so long now, they're probably all dead.
Because there is one option for guaranteeing her loyalty and her compliance. I'm talking about a blood bond.
Don't the warlocks have a way to break that?
But if she's already under one, would she?
Maybe she has an accomplice who breaks it for her. I mean, she's taught these thin bloods how to do stuff.
Our other option is either extremely powerful domination or blackmailing her to a point where if she disobeys us, she is screwed beyond all comprehension.
I think I just came up with the most genius idea.
Let's hear it.
we send him back thinking that the vampires in Chinatown have captured Sylvia. That's why they can't find her. So what are they going to do? They're going to want to go look for her, right?
And then mass.
That is genius.
Solves the problem of having to let her go. And it solves the problem of her not being there because they're going to want to listen to him when he says he barely made it out alive, which is why his arm is broken and why he's banged up like he is. He barely made it out alive, and they have Sylvia, and we need to go rescue her now.
That's perfect. How do we do this?
Well, I think we need Clyde. He's the guy that can mind fuck people, right?
You're right. Clyde!
And with that, we turn our view towards Mr. Parolo as he has managed to dress and leave the Haven. There's a list of things he would like to accomplish and has sought therein over the course of the last few moments. Having obtained a gas tank, knowing that he himself would not be able to make it to Chinatown in enough time because, well, the sun is coming. There's not very much time and ahead of him for the sun to arrive, which means he needs to get back to the Haven, which is not that far away, and sleep.
Yep.
So, having obtained the gas and the accelerant, which is easy enough for him to obtain, considering the gas station is not that far. There's a hardware store that's not too far from the Haven at all. So he's obtaining his implements and managing to convince a few brave-looking gentlemen and ladies who hang out on a few of the stoops further in towards West Rogers Park. What does he attempt to convince them of?
Right now, nothing. Tomorrow evening, that will be a different thing. So what he wants to do is basically make a cache of handy Molotovs and then just give them to anyone that wants to throw it to against whatever they decided they wanted to throw it in. I'm favoring the Tree of Life. I can go for the Chantry, the Tremere Chantry as well. So not picky.
I see. Okay. Well, is that what you're compelling them to complete with using the implements and tools you've obtained to target several locations and just send them up to cause as much destruction to those that are inside as possible?
Yeah, but I need like a very crowded train station or a very crowded sports bar or actually many different locations.
Okay. Well, taking a quick look at your map, you'll notice that within 15 minutes of the Haven, there are several watering holes. Many of them open late, many of them just leaving because, well, you know, it's an hour to sunrise. People have to get home and what have you. So catching people leaving and getting in cars is not a hard thing, especially being as well. They're already slightly inebriated. They've had a good time for the evening. And based on your one success, you would get slightly fewer people than you would like, but there are no small amount of resources available to you. There's the Mexican joint over on Clark. There's the several late night and bars.
Just to be clear, it's not like tonight, but the next night that I wish to make this mob rule.
Okay, sounds like a plan. So you head back to the Haven.
Yep. Hopefully, yep. Haven is alright.
All right. So as you all are, Clyde, he comes trundling through the door, dressed. Period. Considering that he was formerly in tatters and shredded clothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell them Well, I have the pitchforks. I have the torches. Now we only need some castle that the peasants will storm.
You know, we're almost on the same page. Hestia, would you like to tell your master plan?
Okay, we can't let Sylvia go. She's too dangerous. But we can get the Duskborn to at least somewhat attack the Three Happiness because they'll think that Sylvia has been captured and taken there. But to do that and get them to think that that's happening, we need you to make him think that's what happened and that's how he got hurt. That he barely escaped and found out where they were holding Sylvia and that they're holding Sylvia at the restaurant.
Clyde just jumps and says, "Let's go." So, who do I need to convince? That fucker? The one downstairs? Alright, let's go.
So you gotta open up the morgue drawer. Who's giving the blood?
You can have some of mine.
Nice. That's very kind of you.
It'll come in handy later.
So let me rouse. That's one success. That's all right. It's manipulation plus dominate, and then I have the thing that's always active. That's called rationalized.
Mm-hmm.
We'll think that whatever I suggest is.
Oh, hungry. Lucia, would you be so kind to roll your resolve and composure once Dizzy opens her vein and that very potent vitae begins to hit the air?
3 successes.
Oh, come on. Can I reroll with power?
Yes, of course. Your iron will remains, though the beast begins walking and trampling across the inside of your skin when the vitae hits the air. It's not human blood, but it's close enough.
Hess, do we still have any of those blood bags left from the last time? I think I might.
Yeah, I remember taking the case from them since it was already paid for, so I go to the cooler.
I run to the cooler and I take some out because I need to scratch this itch, so to speak.
All right, so as Lucio and Hestia step away towards the cooler and the hitter begins to stir, he snaps awake in pain because, being beaten and stabbed it will have that effect on even people as close to immortality as Kindred are.
Yeah, I grab his head and just look into his eyes and tell him, "Good, you're awake. You made it. They made it. They have what's her name?
Dizzy."
Hold up, we need to have a conversation real quick.
All right. So I go to the sidebar. Which one?
And I lean in and whisper in his ear. They were watching this place. Other people know that she came in here. It just now dawned on me that he had told us that.
Listen, whatever I tell him, he's gonna swear on his mother's grave that it's the truth and nothing but the truth. So.
And I'm totally down with that, but then they're going to know that we did it to him because other people saw her come in here.
Okay, you need to decide. Do I believe or not?
I'm not saying that this is the play. I'm saying we just need to look at it differently before we do it.
All right. It's bad enough with all the people in my head. You're just giving me a headache.
He is out of it, so he's not in any immediate flight risk. But having spent time around Aiden, you know that even without blood, depending on how dead they were, their seeming were, that they'd heal at just above normal. It wasn't exactly healing, but it's definitely not what vampires do. It's not completely mending. It's like some half-step crossbreed between the two, meaning that over time, even without Vitae, he would seem to get better, become more active, become more mobile, and become more of a flight risk. In his present state, you have roughly 10 to 15 minutes. As you down the blood as if it is the finest of all meals, Lucio, you do realize that the quality isn't quite your special reserve or even what Janice shared with you, which was filled with so much spice and flavor, but it's very, very good. Having sated yourself, you have one hunger, and your reserve in the cooler is down to 3 of those bottles instead of the 6 that were left.
Oh, I needed that. And I returned to the others.
Kesha, as you and Lucio walk back into the morgue with everyone.
So look, here's like my 2 cents. They're coming back in. Go run it over with them. I'll keep an eye on him. If he acts up, I'll fucking beat the shit out of him again. But maybe we got to add a component that says that anyone who disputes him was captured by us and mind fucked. That he knows that. I don't know. I mean, that's pretty deep game to run, right?
Coming into this conversation mid-sentence, what happened?
Well, that's kind of a whispered conversation because we don't want our victim to hear it. So
what exactly do you need me to say to this lovely fellow?
So it occurs to me, people who ran out of the room, that he told us that other people were watching. There are other people that know that she's here.
Yeah, we got 2 of them. Your friend just disposed of some bodies. There are police usually stationed outside of the shelter. I mean, next to Grand Central Station, this place is not too shabby.
My understanding from what he told us last time was that they last saw her around here, but they didn't know what happened to her. Hence his shock and surprise when we opened up a drawer and she was there. So
I'm just saying that he did say there were other eyes. Other people saw her come in here and not leave. So if we send him back with one story that 5 other people dispute, that could be an issue.
Okay. Recanting when Dizzy mentions that there were other people that have been aware that Sylvia entered, the details of the conversation come crawling back to everyone. We were here with Sylvia. She came in and she left us with these plans in advance if she didn't come back out. Part of which were to keep watch and herd you all, meaning keep you leading in the wrong direction. It was the secondary person, Julian, who instilled the idea of kidnapping you all, or otherwise capturing you all. Julian was responsible for capturing Whispers. Lucio would have been next, which means there is an escalating plan of retribution already in the works.
So if I'm getting that completely correct, what it is that they saw, these specific 2 saw her come in and not come out, so that they had a plan in play of what was to do if she should not return, but they are still the only 2 that know she came in and didn't come back out.
No, Julian's a secondary person who wasn't on site. They returned with the information. He disseminated their plan. He modified the plans she already had in place.
And that's the one that's been staked by Wineka, right?
No, that's just another notable Dustborn by Alexa.
So here's an idea. we send them back saying that the plan went awry and we took Sylvia and fled into Chinatown to hide because we know they don't go there.
Can't we just tell them that we sold the Sylvia to those fuckers and they have it now?
Yeah, I mean, that's an option too. Otherwise, we got to lay low until they do something.
That's an idea, but I think if we say that we're also in Chinatown, I feel like they'd be more inclined to devote all their resources to going in there. Because they'd kill two birds with one stone, capture/kill us and rescue Sylvia.
Maybe we've pulled back to reinforce ourselves in Chinatown.
That sounds lovely.
I'm good with that.
Wake the motherfuckers and let them leave, because I think we have like 10 minutes of moonlight.
Oh, he's up. Do your magic.
Out of character, is it just the one or are there two?
There are two Dustborn there, but only one that you guys are targeting, the hitter.
I can target two at the same time.
You need more blood to awaken him.
I think we're keeping him.
Okay, so do I need to roll again?
No.
All right. So that's 5 successes on the roll. I go and not assertively, but not violently grab his head and start talking very near him until he opens his eyes, and then I catch his gaze.
Catching his gaze is not a problem. He's still getting back to himself. He put through the ringer twice. He's been topered twice within one night. There are, even though typically there aren't much side effects to that for Kindred, there's lingering feelings of being dead, actually dead, not just undead or not just unalive. But for Dustborn, those effects are significantly more. That increased rate of torpor leaves him a little more malleable. So as you're speaking, he's nodding and repeating what you're saying back to you. He's still Wayne is still under the weather and still less than, but he is repeating very easily everything you tell him.
So basically, with Forgetful Mind, I can erase his memory and then create an entirely new memory.
Yes, you can.
So I tell him that he and his friend came in because they saw they saw that we have Sylvia, and then they tried to stop us, and we managed to get away, but he got very banged up, and he managed to follow us to Chinatown and go into the Tree of Life place where other vampires catch Sylvia while we were trying to establish our new base of operations in some nearby place. Does that make sense?
Okay. He repeats what you said back to him about him and friend getting in and finding you all and getting banged up in the process, him being brave enough to follow you to Chinatown as you all fled into Chinatown proper with Sylvia.
Yeah. And if they ask how did they follow us, by Uber.
All right. Sounds like a plan. He repeats it back to you. And you see a slight frown as he nods and agrees and repeats it back. And, you know, his mind begins filling in those small details that, of course, everyone does. You know, you don't really see the full face of the moon. It's one of those things where you fill in the missing gaps and the blanks and your mind makes it right in your head. He's nodding along and he's ready. He is properly dosed with your tale of events.
And don't forget that you need to rescue Sylvia. That's the most important thing.
And yes, that is the most important thing. We have to rescue Sylvia. We have to.
All right, we gotta get him out of here before it wears off.
Oh, he's never gonna wear off. Don't worry. He would think this is the truth until the end of his days. Yeah, and get him out of here so he can go and spread the good word.
Go and spread your gospel. And off. So how you guys escort him up through the shelter or out through the tunnel leading down into the morgue? In short, how did you escort him out?
Bag over his head and through the back door.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. And as your guest leaves with not much time until sunrise and to make his way back, how are you all ending your evening? It's been a long night. It's been a long few weeks. It's been a long few months. It has been a surfeit of stress and trauma and drama and highs on top of many, many lows added upon themselves. With this plan in effect, with the first steps toward accomplishing a goal set, strong, steady steps laid out towards your path, on your path towards your goal. There's a exhalation of sorts. You're a step closer, but to what is the question?
Before Lucio decides to turn in for the day, as it were, and he's gonna be staying at the Haven this night because it's just easier. He'd like to go up to Dizzy and strike up one final conversation before heading up.
Ooh, we like combos.
Dizzy, do you have a moment?
I got lots of moments.
I suppose we all do. I know it's been frustrating for you. I know it feels like we don't care, but I told you once that I would help you find whoever's left of your old group, and I meant it. And I'm sorry that so many other things have gotten in the way of that. If we don't find your coterie at the Three Happiness, then I promise you I will do whatever I can to help you find them wherever else you think they are, whether it's at the airport, whether it's at whatever other lead that we find.
All right. I mean, hey, I don't mean to be like a bitch about it or anything, but it just feels like it's time sensitive. And that time may have already passed where there's going to be a day that's the day that's too late. And it may have already happened. I don't know. But I mean, I've fought for you guys. I've killed for you guys. And then when it comes to finding my friends, something else comes up. Something else comes up. Something else comes up.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my blood, but I'm running out of patience.
And I fully understand that. And you're absolutely right. I can't go back in time and undo all the shit that happened. But what I can say is that starting here and now, I will dedicate myself to helping you.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I've tried to do everything I can to help you guys.
Speaking of helping you guys, as Clyde beds down and Hestia comes back from the clean room, is there anything else that you all are seeking to close out or finalize before the sun forces you all to die where you stand? Not that you're going to die in the morgue, but...
I mean, I'll head up to my room and drop another text to my new ghoul and make sure that she's still all right.
Oh yeah, she's in the middle of an interrogation. And she's not supposed to have her phone. Somehow she managed to sneak it in. As she turns on the mic with it in her pocket, you hear the questions being asked. So how did you know that these people that disappeared on you were aiming to strike the van? Why were you out of the van to begin with? And on and on and on and on.
Well, it's going to be a long day for someone.
I'll send one text to Arsenio saying, get some rest. We might need you tomorrow.
Sure thing, Lucy. I got a place not far from here. figured it's better that I not hang out with people that I know to keep Don from finding me.
Thanks.
As that text message is saying those calls were made, Hesher, is there anything else you were attempting to do?
For me, what I'm gonna do is go to my special library and see if I can find any books on that specific type of creature to get any more I guess specific information as to see what we're dealing with, what we can do to better protect ourselves, that kind of situation. And that's basically what she does. She takes the books, any book she might find, back to her room and falls asleep reading, quote unquote.
In your books being, as they are more from Karen's library, your best repository of information on the Wan Kuei is Sun Che and the Chantry. Most of the information that's there points directly back to the Chantry. At that time, unfortunately, that's not mentioning Sun Che specifically, but the Chicago Chantry as the best repository of information, as Nikolai and Aristotle are the main contacts there. With those details and plans that Clyde has laid out for the next evening, and the mind limit you all placed on the Dustborn, and Damien and Alexa working feverishly towards arranging various other snares and traps, you all in the evening in your various rooms at the shelter, at the Haven, and knowing that tomorrow will be fraught, to say the least. I want to thank you all for playing along. I want to thank you all for this session. And I look forward to finding out the repercussions of tonight's actions and those over the course of the season. Next episode, next week, titled Try to Belittle Your Ambitions. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.